Choosing a Home by ginnyrules27, Chapter 57. Haddie couldn't help but smile as he rode through the horse pasture over at Charmington Castle, Alexandria riding past on her Palomino and gold horse. Sure, he didn't have a horse of his own, but Chad had been happy to loan him his horse for the day. Chad certainly changed a lot since he was at Oridon, Breb, Haddie thought, though it was for the better. After all, Chad had been the one to teach him how to ride a horse a couple of years back. Jay was off at college before getting scooped up by the Oridon Lions tourney team. Ben was doing his kingly duties, and Harry was caught up in the honeymoon phase of his relationship with Uma. As great as the death of the Denial had been, that didn't mean Haddie wanted to be around his surrogate brother while he was being all... Haddie couldn't even think of the right word to describe how Harry had been acting. Maybe annoying, but that just fit Harry in everyday situation. Not to mention Gil was just as... maybe cutesy was the right word to describe the way the two boys acted with their girls. But it didn't fit the VKs. Though it did fit the way Gil acted with Macaria. Honestly, I swear that boy is about 2 seconds away from proposing, Haddie thought with a small snort. No one knew exactly how the two of them became a thing, and at this point Haddie was scared to ask. "Whoa, easy, Mirabelle," Alexandria said, grinning as she slowed from a gallop to a trot, trying to keep her horse so that she was at the same pace as Haddie. "You've got something on your mind, Hads. You're quiet." "Just thinking," Haddie told her. "Not to mention, I'm more focused on not falling off the horse." "Chad wouldn't have lent you Arthur if he thought he'd make it so you'd fall off," Alexandria said. "Arthur's so well behaved. Especially now that Chad brought Ginny Gwen." "Can you really call it a gift a year ago, a recent one?" Haddie asked. Alexandria giggled. "Oh, hush. Arthur's the tamest of the 4 of our horses. Probably the one that matches his temperament is Mirabelle. Though I figured you'd want to share a horse, wouldn't you?" "Not with the way you gallop," Haddie told her. "Don't tell me the big bad VK is frightened," Alexandria teased with a small chuckle. Haddie shook his head. "Oh, please, the way you ride a horse should come with a disclaimer. Riders accompanying the princess who holds these reins may end up meeting Lord Hades before they're ready." Alexandria stuck her tongue out at him, and Haddie chuckled. They had been friends long enough that they could tease each other, and still know that they were friends at the end. Honestly, it was almost like the rapport he had with CJ, or Celia, or Dizzy. Sarah was nice enough to hang out with, but the daughter of Stromboli wasn't exactly on Haddie's tease and stay friends list. Plus, she still preferred to stick to Quinn above all others. Evan Fitzherbert was great as the son of a former thief. Same with Ashaki, though as a daughter, since they'd both got the fact that not everyone would have had the same leaning towards morals as people in Oridon would. In fact, when Haddie first got to Oridon, he'd started a pickpocketing competition with Evan. Or maybe it was Evan who started it. Either way, there was a competition that Haddie swore still went on to this day. Herky and Melody were probably the 2 of Haddie's favourites among the small group of friends. Though, if he had said that, people would probably assume it was because they were family. And yes, there were some benefits of being friends with family. The mental link meant you always had someone to talk to, and since it wasn't hampered by distance like cell phones were, you never had to worry about being out of range. I mean, if I managed to have conversations with Mal while she was in Oridon and I was on the Isle, I think we proved that the link knows no boundaries, Haddie thought as he gently tugged on the reins to keep Arthur at a trot. "You're thinking again," Alexandria told him. Haddie chuckled. "Sorry, Alex. I'll try to stop doing that just for you." "That's all I ask," Alexandria teased. But then shook her head. "Honestly, Hads, we've been friends for how long? You can tell me anything. After all, you were there for me after the whole Freddy fiasco with Chad." "The less said about Freddy, the better," Haddie said, grinding his teeth to avoid yelling obscenities and spooking both of their horses. It had been bad enough being sent up to Olympus like a naughty little boy being sent to his room, though Hermes had helped him see some sense. But when had he found out that Freddie had gone after Alex? Let's just say it had been a good thing that he had a handle on his powers. Otherwise, Hattie might have resembled his dad after he found out that Hercules had still been alive. But Alex had been fine, he told himself, thanks to Chad doing something I'm sure every VK longed to do. Well, maybe not Strat or Shayla or Lachlan, but everyone else for sure had fantasized about punching Freddie in the face. Hey, Alexandria said gently, softly resting a hand on Hattie's shoulder. It's okay. Freddie can't get me. How do you... Your hand's clenched around that rein so tightly. I'm almost surprised it hasn't broken in two, Alexandria told him. Hattie gave her a sheepish smile. Sorry. I guess thinking about how he went after you, even after all these years, just kind of boils my blood a little. I know this is going to sound cruel and all, but I'm kind of hoping Dad's making him suffer in Tartarus. Only if it sounds cruel that I kind of hope the same thing, Alexandria told him. You do? Alexandria shot him a look. He shoved my brother into a closet, Hats. He kidnapped Celia to use as bait for what Mal said. Why wouldn't I want him to suffer? Well, I can tell you something. Dad's not the fondest of Freddie, even before he crashed Cotillion. Hattie said. He probably had a list that was a mile long before Mal turned Freddie into ash. And now she's going to be Queen of Oridon, Alexandria said, smiling at the thought. I'm sure she and Ben are looking forward to the official wedding. Shh! Hattie said, though he couldn't help but chuckle. Mal's determined that no one say anything that implies they're already married. The last thing she wants is for any rumours to spread around the kingdom about the potential for an early heir or some rot like that. Hats, who's going to eavesdrop on us out here? Alexandria asked, gesturing to the wide open pasture. Unless you're saying someone from the gazelle can shapeshift into a hawk or something? Hey, first off, I wouldn't put it past them, Hattie chuckled. But second of all, didn't you tell me once that they got their stories from people sending in photos and stuff? Exactly my point, Hats, Alexandria chuckled. No one's allowed on property who's not family or our guests. And no one we invite over would sell anything to the gazelle. That I can promise you. Now, come on. I'm sure the horses are tired of staying at a trot. Let's get you up to a full gallop. With that, Alexandria sped off, Hattie shaking his head in amusement as he watched her. Her golden hair, despite being restrained by her helmet, flew behind her like she was Apollo pulling the sun chariot. While he couldn't see her eyes, Hattie knew they were sparkling in delight. Horses were the thing the whole Charming family seemed to have in common, it seemed, as every member of the family had one. Kitty had a chestnut mare with a blonde mane and tail she aptly named Eowyn. It seemed that the eldest Charming princess was a fan of the fictional shield maiden from Rohan. Lucy had a pure black mare she named Raven, and, as already mentioned, Alexandria had her Palomino and golden-maned Mirabelle. Hattie hadn't had the chance to be introduced to Queen Cinderella or King Kit's horses, but he had a feeling it was coming. He had met all the other horses, after all. Yes, he had even met Ginny's horse Guinevere, but everyone just called her Gwen. You know, it's kind of funny. Horses are Uncle Poseidon's sacred animal, Hattie thought. You'd think that was a sign or something that I was destined to be friends with Alex. Come on, Slowpoke, Alexandria called. Slow and steady wins the race, Alex, Hattie called over to her. Not when it comes to horses' heads. Hattie chuckled and shook his head as he cautiously urged Arthur to speed up a bit. Though, due to his inexperience, he accidentally urged Arthur to speed up a lot. Zooming past Alexandria, Hattie fought to keep his eyes open as the look of his impending doom in the face. The way a VK would, after all. Whoa! Good boy, Arthur! Whoa! We're slowing down. Good. Wait, why are we slowing down? You don't do anything by half, do you, Eds? Alexandria teased as she let go of the reins. Maybe we'll stick to a trot for now. Thanks, Alex. Hattie said, thankful that the burst of speed had caused the wind to whip at his cheeks, causing them to turn red and thus hiding his flesh. No worries, Hads, Alexandria said, giving Hattie a small smile. And don't worry, I won't tell Mal that happened.
Please. She's so distracted by the fact that my parents are having another kid. She's finally laid off the protectiveness.
Hattie shook his head before pausing.
Though knowing I'd been on a runaway horse might just cause her to up that protectiveness again.
A runaway horse that you caused, Alexandria reminded.
Gee, thanks.
Hattie snorted as they made their way back to the stables, having had enough excitement for one day. Leading the horses into the stables, Hattie shook his head.
I can't tell you how weird it is to see you in something other than a dress.
What, you think I'd ride in anything other than jeans? Alexandria chuckled. Just because I don't wear them all the time doesn't mean I don't own them, Hads. I just prefer dresses.
So you say, but I think you're in denial,
Hattie teased. You're insane, Alexandria told him, taking off Mirabelle's reins and bit, before leading her into the stall so she could take off the saddle.
Thank you.
Not a compliment, and you know it. Hattie snorted with amusement before sliding off Arthur and handing the reins to the attendant, who had come to see if they needed assistance. The Charmington stables hadn't had an assistant before. However, after Chad had gotten a visa to get the donkeys from the Isle, there were too many creatures in the stables for the Charmings to handle.
Though Ginny was over the moon, and that was probably all that mattered to Chad,
Hattie thought as he watched Alexandria brush her horse. Hey, I've been thinking...
You know that's a dangerous pastime, Hattie teased, and Alexandria turned to look at him.
Ha ha, Hattie. Anyway, you know how we all have that engagement coming up? Hattie couldn't help but smile slightly at the way Alexandria spoke in code, as if respecting the wishes of Mal, and Hattie that the fact that there had been 2 weddings remained a secret.
Yeah?
Well, what if we went together? As friends, of course. You know, Kitty and Lucy are going to be pestering me about a date, and Mal and Uma are probably going to do the same with you.
More so Jay and Harry, which is weird considering they went to Cotillion Stag,
Hattie said with a smirk.
Though we all know that their hearts were with Lonnie and Uma.
Alexandria snorted. You got that right. I can't help but feel bad for Jay in a way. With him on the Oradon Lions and Lonnie on the professional Raw circuit, there's not much time for them to see each other.
If I know Jay, he'll figure out a way to see Lonnie if he really wanted to.
Hattie said.
It's Harry I feel bad for. At least Jay and Lonnie are still on land together. Uma got that royal commission to run a trading boat, remember? Carrying trade between kingdoms and captaining her own ship.
Why didn't Harry go with her? Alexandria asked.
Dad's opening up an Oradon branch of his restaurant and wants Harry to manage it with Mr. Smee, since Dad's going to be busy on the restaurant on the Isle and running the underworld, Hattie explained. Plus, Harriet and Sammy have their swimming school here, and there's no way Harry would risk being at sea and ending up missing their wedding.
He's the son of a pirate, though. I'd have thought that the sea would call to him. It calls to Melody and Al.
Just because he's the son of a pirate doesn't mean he has to do what his dad did, Alex. Besides, calling Captain Hook Harry's dad is a stretch. My dad did more for Harry than Hook ever did, from what I gathered eavesdropping on Mal. Harry's my brother, just like Jay is. It doesn't matter that they're not related by blood. In fact, I think that just makes it better.
Alexandria smiled slightly as she brushed a bit of Hattie's helmet-tossed hair out of his eyes. So, you're saying that Harry is loyal to his family?
Without a doubt, Hattie nodded.
Well then, I'm glad Harry's family is so loyal to him, Alexandria told him. But you never answered my question, Hads.
I didn't?
About you and me going to that engagement as friends.
Oh, yeah, I'd love to, Hattie said with a smile. That probably makes things easier too, considering we're a part of the wedding party.
Alexandria smiled back at him. Great! It'll be so nice to have a friend there. Well, you know what I mean.
Yeah, I was going to say, aren't all of our friends going to be there? Hattie chuckled as he teased her.
Yeah. Alexandria shook her head. Come on, I think Dad's making his double chocolate chip cookies with the white chocolate chips. First one to the kitchen gets to lick the bowl. You're on, Hattie said as the two of them left the stables, running for the kitchens and possibly almost knocking Chad over as they passed him in the hallway. Dad, 2 whirlwinds coming your way, Chad caused. Warning appreciated, but a bit late, Chad. Kitty chuckled as she walked out of the den. What's got them so excited?
Dad's making cookies, apparently,
Chad said, like he poked her head out of a nearby room. I'm sorry, Dad's making cookies, and he didn't tell us? How did Alex and Hattie know?
You know what this means? Kitty asked. That our sister and her friend are really good at figuring out Dad's baking schedule.
Chad asked. Well, and it means that they get first dibs on the bowl.
All 3 charming elder kids looked at each other before making a beeline down the hall, each one trying to get to the kitchen first, so that way there'd be some leftover batter for them to consume.
They didn't have much hope, though, after all. Alexandria and Hattie had a head start over them. Sure enough, when the 3 elder charming kids got to the kitchen, it was to the sight of Hattie and Alexandria going to town on the mixing bowl. Aww, Kitty whined. Kit chuckled.
I knew you 3 would be making your way into the kitchen when you realised I was making cookies. There's a ramekin of dough for each of you in the fridge. Dad, you're awesome,
Chad said as Lucy went to get the ramekins and 3 spoons.
I try.
Kit chuckled and leaned over and ruffled Chad's hair.
How are wedding plans going? We're taking a break until Ben gets married. And yes, I know he's technically married already, but you know what I mean,
Chad said, trying to straighten his hair back out.
Ginny doesn't want to take attention off his wedding. Plus, it takes some of the strain off of Evie.
Plus, it'd give you time to get the donkeys from the aisle, Alexandria pointed out.
She speaks the truth, Chad nodded.
Probably a good thing, or else there'd be more than likely to be hyena chow sooner or later, Hattie thought, but didn't speak it aloud. As his sister used to say, destroying an AK's bright and shiny outlook on life was not on his to-do list, thank you. End of chapter. Hi guys, hope you enjoyed that. Oh, I love that! Flaming glass, they're so sweet together. But you know, they're in that denial, friends, will they, won't they stage. Anyway, never mind. I just love that they're riding as well. By the way, Alexandria's horse being called Mirabelle. You're a fan of Encanto there, aren't you, Ginny? Anyway, you guys know the drill. Like, comment and subscribe and hit that bell to get notified whenever I upload a new video. Have a good day, night, or whatever time zone you're in. Bye my guys, gals and non-binary pals. I'll see you in another video. Take care.